All right, we are recording. Welcome. So tonight we are on our fourth session, and we are going to start talking about how to become a networking expert, and in particular, impression management and how to build your network. So
Oh,
many of you have come to the United States in very dire circumstances and have had to um, really readjust. So um, I kind of saw the slides flashing. David,
yes, I'm having a technical challenge. I will reload the slides. My apologies.
well, and if we have the slides that have our coach assignments, we'll go over that because we did. You guys, I'm sorry if we caused any confusion, but we did get a new resume coach at the end of last week. And so I had six people, and we reallocated a couple people to our new resume coach. So if some of you are seeing different assignments, that would be why. And we'll clarify that. We'll send out those final assignments tomorrow or Thursday.
So I think we have the slides under control. And so if I'm playing this through, this is our title slide.
Yep. Impression management.
And then I've got the participant resume coach assignments.
Oh, perfect. Let's just go through this real quick. So, if you guys even take a picture, like I'm probably going to take a picture right now. So we did, so Kristen Horbinski, if you look at the bottom of the first column, Kristen Horbinski is a new resume coach. And um, she just came on board at the end of last week. And so we were able to give her a few people. Um, so she's got Carlos and Marco, and you're in good hands. So I worked with Kristen for years at Kohl's Corporation. She is a senior HR executive. She specializes in employee engagement, and she is excited to help both of you with your resumes. And then I think everybody else, I think we had, yeah, Baketa, we had accidentally assigned to Kristen Getz, but I've already been working with Baketa. So those are those reassignments. I think other than that, everything else is the same. Is that right, AJ?
Yes, Lisa.
All right. So yeah, this is a little different of a summary, but it's grouped by the resume coach. Oh, good. Oh, Carlos, I'm so glad Kristen already sent you an email this morning. That's awesome. Yay. Good. All right. Any questions on coach assignments? All right. So we can go to the next slide then.
It's easy for you to say. There we go. Okay.
So our learning objectives tonight are four: understand the fundamentals of impression management, learn how to build your network, learn how to leverage your network, and balance your values and authentic self with how the system currently works. And Rosie's going to really lead us in that last learning objective and share her lived experiences with us. I've known David and Rosie for quite a few years. When I relocated to Minnesota, I had no network, and I didn't really understand how important a network was. And even though I didn't go about approaching David in the way that is a kind of professional way to do it, David was very gracious with me and met with me and shared a lot of his processes, which you all have in your binders and we're going to share with you tonight. Rosie is just a inspiration and a breath of fresh air, and really understands how to keep your spirit alive while you're going through a lot of change. So the two of them are very helpful and a good combination. So we're very glad to have both of you here tonight.
It is an honor to be here. Thank you.
So if we go to the next slide, this is our kind of the flow. So impression management, landing a job, building your network, assessing your network, managing social media. And then AJ is going to talk a little bit about our post work. Managing social media, we'll get into in more depth next week with Richard Dodson. And then we're going to revisit networking with Nathan Perez the week after that. So these are all experts. We're excited to have everybody here helping us understand how all this works in the United States.
You have amazing resources. The speakers that you've lined up are incredible.
We are very blessed. We do not take any of this for granted. And yeah, we are really blessed with the resources that we've been given.
Gotcha. How do we proceed, Lisa?
So next slide, I guess I didn't realize how many
That's
of you
me
were up front. So this is David. So David is a principal and a founder of an amazing executive recruiting firm here in Minneapolis. And one of the things I learned when I came to Minneapolis is that recruiting is a very, in Minneapolis, is a sort of what you call a boutique kind of operation. So it's not about big national or international recruiting firms. It's about relationships and about networking. So David is also a husband, a father, a grandfather, and an amazing contributor to our community here in the Twin Cities.
You are very kind. Thank you so much. Just as another comment, and truly, Lisa, thank you for having me here tonight. And it's always fun to do this session. And frankly, it's always fun to hear Rosie. She is an inspiration. My whole background is in really helping people and jobs get together. I worked in corporate America with some rather large companies. I worked in the career counseling area. And actually, some of the coaches that you have, the resume coaches, I know from that world. And then I started this search from actually now 26 years ago. And my whole goal tonight is to see if I cannot be of value, if I can't be of value, in helping you expand your network, understand the importance of networking as a key tool in finding positions.
Thank you.
Rosie, it's all you.
So Rosie is an author, a motivational speaker. She deals in health equity, particularly with women's healthcare. She works for Blue Cross Blue Shield and is just an overall leader in the community. And Rosie, what else would you like to add to your introduction?
Hello, everyone. I'm excited to be here. And David is always great co-present. And so I count that an honor. So thank you. And Lisa, thank you for giving us this platform. I think one thing I want to share is just like you, I also came from Ghana, maybe different circumstances. Have you heard of the saying, we may have arrived in different boats, but we're in the same ship now, right? So like, it doesn't matter how we came, we are here. And I think one of the things I like about talking to you is the inspiration that I get from all of you, right? So as you're here, degreed, all your dreams and aspirations, right? It's great to hear them and to be inspired. And I think the immigrant story is that probably centuries old story that in America we probably don't tell it, right? We don't tell it in a way that demonstrate all the contributions of immigrants to right. So all the contributions that you are probably doing and what you're going to do. So like I was telling somebody, I had a full day today and I said, okay, I ended my work at 5:30. I'm going to grab a little bit to eat. But I said, oh, you must be tired. I said, nope, I am going to now gear up for this because it inspires me and it strengthens me. So you all do that. So this is a great opportunity.
Thank you, Rosie. I think if we go to the next slide, we can just get right into it. Oh, we have a Zoom poll. So, David, you're running the Zoom poll. So I think
I am.
Well, I'm not running the slides now, but I guess maybe in the chat. Let's just use the chat. Does anyone currently belong to any networking groups? Just put it in the chat if you do. And networking groups can be somebody you meet with for coffee. It can be a formal networking group. There's a lot of human resources networking groups. Some of you are in different degreed backgrounds. So if you just kind of click on the chat here, which everybody's already using, you can enter if you belong to any networking groups in Minnesota or in Germany. Stas, I don't know if they have networking groups in Germany or not.
That is good, Lisa. And I believe I can actually launch the poll if you want.
Oh,
yeah. Chat also works.
Oh, AJ, thank you, because I do not see how I can run the poll, and I apologize. That's why the slides were bouncing around. There we go. Thank you.
It's totally okay. So now I launched the poll. Yeah. We've got one answer.
And if you don't belong to a networking group, that's okay as well. But I think it'll help David and Rosie just kind of understand what your background is with networking.
Yeah, so far we've got 4 answers. And I believe we have at least 13 participants. So we're going to wait for a little more minutes.
I can't stress the importance enough of really being active on this program. And part of networking is getting to know people, asking questions, answering questions, participating.
Okay, so I believe we're going to have the polls open for 10 or 12 more seconds. And after that, it would be good to end it. So if you have anything left, you can finish it quickly. Okay, so now I would like to end the poll. I will go in the browser and read the polls. Okay, so the people who answered, so if you don't write your name, I'm not going to know your name, but everyone is anonymous. One person said, no, I don't. The other person said Afghan communities. The other participant said not an official group, but have a program, Pretty Girls Lead Girls Networking. That's good. And the other one is, yes, I'm currently belong to the woman networking group. Two other participants written no. We have another no. And another participant said none for me. I've never really had the opportunity to network outside my job. Yeah, Marco said it. Okay, these are it.
Thank you.
All right, and I want to make sure we had one more participant. Did someone admit him?
Yes, I did.
Thank you, EJ. Good job. All right.
May I close the poll?
Yes.
Yes.
I don't know how to open it, but I apparently am able to close it. Okay. When I was in 10th grade in high school, I was making trouble in the back of the room. In the first day of my class on, actually it was an English class. And the instructor caught me making some trouble. I was actually doing bird calls. So something I used to actually be really good at least I thought I was. And she looked at me and she said, David, you never get a second chance to make a first impression. And I will never forget those words because I was really marked the first day as a troublemaker in her class. She was, I'm sure, a very gifted teacher, and I did not give her a chance to really get off on the right foot with me because I was causing trouble. It was my fault. And I never forgot about that day because I fought that entire class to get a good grade. I wanted to prove to her that I was going to be a good student. I got a B. Wasn't bad, but I was happy to have survived that class, but I learned an important lesson. There are so many opportunities for each and every one of you to make a first impression. And we're going to talk a little bit about each and every one of those. We're going to talk about an elevator speech, which is an unusual choice of terms, but it is giving a short introduction if you just have a few seconds, what you would say about yourself. We want to talk about how you show up physically, and I will comment, most of you, from what I can tell, have your cameras off. And in an ideal world, because we do so much networking through technology now, in an ideal world, I would love for you to have your camera on because we do judge you that way. We judge people by their voice, how they sound. Are they articulate? Are they able to speak clearly? Having an accent is not the problem. Making sure you really speak clearly with a purpose of getting your message across is critical. Tonight, I'm sitting in my office and I'm on a Zoom screen, as all of you are, and we're going to talk about Zoom and how to present over Zoom. We're going to talk about written communications, email, and in-mail. I'm actually going to also help you build a network list, and we'll talk about social media, LinkedIn, Facebook, whatever you choose to use. Rosie, have I missed anything?
Like always, you hit it. And I learned from David how to position my computer, how to do lighting. And you know, life is continuous improvement, right? So from the first time I met David, when he did this talk, look at me now.
Before love it.
You could see my head, my ears, my nose, because I didn't know how to position, right? So now I actually learned. And I was doing an interview on TV, and I think it was maybe a week after I talked, David, And everybody, I reached out to Lisa so that I could practice with her so she could see me, my head and not my chin, right? And that was all from what David shared. So I think I want to put a plug in. These are live skills, right? Virtual is with us. We never went back as we thought, right? So the virtual reality is actually our reality. So please, this is important because it's going to serve you well now and into the future.
Thank you for saying so, Rosie. I have to.
And I just wanted, like, I know this is tough. I know it's a cultural shift for many, but it's really, and we've talked about this from the beginning. So everybody agreed that they would be on camera as part of building community. And like Casey said last week, it's really hard to facilitate to a box. So to the extent that you can be on camera, it helps us have a better experience as a group. So I think David and Rosie, we didn't ask them to say any of that, but I'm glad they did because it's tough. It's tough to facilitate when people are not on camera. And as far as we know, nobody in this group has a security risk around being on camera. We have had that in the past and we completely honor that. If you cannot be safely on camera, or if you have things going on, if you've got kiddos you're taking care of or parents you're taking care of, we completely understand that. But even if you go in and out, totally fine. The more we see of your beautiful faces, the better.
I have to say that as a continuous learner, just last week, I changed the lighting options in my office so that Zoom would look better because I do so many meetings on Zoom. So I will show you what this would have been without my new option. And now I have multiple different light settings in order to assure that, you know, if it's daylight, I have a different option. If it's nighttime, I have a different option. This is something that I just picked up last week, so we can always continue to learn.
David, I hope you can share that. I want to be the Zoom queen, right? So I hope you can share that tip too, so that I can practice my lighting.
And in all honesty, for $24.99 at Target, you can buy a social media light. It plugs right into your computer, and it's wonderful. Before you go to any networking event, before you even show up on screen tonight, one of the most important things you can do is really begin to do some pre-planning. First and foremost, everybody here is here to learn. I learned from Lisa. I learned from Rosie. I don't know AJ well. And AJ, do you prefer to go by AJ?
Yes, actually, it's totally okay for me. Yeah, it's the initials of my first and last name. Yes.
Okay, thank you. I learned from everybody, and part of my positive attitude tonight is that I want to both give you information and hopefully learn some things as well, and I know that I will. Everybody should think in advance of the benefits of the event they're going to be at, what you will get out of tonight. And if you were asked to do a self-introduction, you want to plan it. Your self-introduction might be different tonight than it would be if you were at a professional association meeting or at a seminar or class, or if you were just out socially and you were introducing yourself to someone. You need to pre-think about what your self-introduction would be. We need to think about small talk, what we would talk about when conversation gets quiet. And it's going to be important that you really pre-think about the things you want to talk about. Now, in Minnesota, we always talk about the weather. I can guarantee you no one wants to talk about politics. But find something that might be interesting, that might be in the news, that might be fun. It could be about a previous activity, but you want to prepare in advance what you might want to talk about. And probably most importantly, remember eye contact. You want to be looking right at people. And whether that is comfortable for you culturally or not, I really can't stress the importance of it. And a smile. A smile will take you a long way when you are looking to people. Now, what does eye contact mean when we are on Zoom? Let me spend a moment on that. When we meet people, and no, that is not a picture of me, when we meet people, we are judged by how we look. In fact, in the first 5 minutes of any interaction, we are judged 60% by how we appear. So in my case, am I sitting straight? Can you see what I'm wearing? Do I look like I put myself together? You don't know anything about me, so you will initially judge me by how I look. Well, with Zoom, you really have to be careful. Eye contact on Zoom is actually wherever your camera is. So you want your camera to be at the same height as your eyes. So in this particular case, I'm sitting in my office and my camera is at the top of the screen that I'm staring at. It is my eye contact. So I'm not talking to you who are now to my side on the screen. I'm actually talking to the camera, and that takes practice. If I were on my laptop computer at home, my camera is actually below my eye level. So it has to look up at me. So I actually put something under my laptop so that that camera is at the right height, that it is staring at me right in the eye. And believe it or not, I either use books to get to the right height or empty Tupperware. Leftover food containers, empty, of course, that bring my computer to the right height. You want to know what your background is. So you are seeing my office, a bookcase that's a little messy, a lot of family pictures, some antiques, but I know exactly what is behind me and no one can get behind me. So if you are in a Zoom meeting with someone, you don't want people wandering around. I have been on Zoom meetings where someone walked by in their underwear. It can be an embarrassing situation. Virtual backgrounds. Rosie and I have had this conversation, and Rosie has figured it out. And thank you, Rosie, for doing such a great job. But virtual backgrounds are actually the weakest part of Zoom, and actually Teams as well. If you move back and forth on a virtual background, parts of you disappear. And that's what Rosie was referring to earlier. She has figured this out, and I am just thrilled about that. But if you have doubts about that, don't use a virtual background. Just find a beautiful picture behind you, and you will be doing well.
Okay, so now we have another Zoom poll. I think I should still launch this poll, and we'll give it a couple minutes, and then I'll end it and I'll go and read it from the browser.
Thank you, AJ.
Well, it's actually a good question. Let's see what our participants has. So please also write your names, because when I read it, it doesn't show who said what, who wrote what comment.
Well, and I'm just going to add in the, this new era of being on Zoom, being on Teams, being in all these virtual meetings. I guess David and Rosie, could you kind of address if I'm in a casual meeting and a kid pops in behind the person I'm meeting with, or a cat jumps in, like, I'm okay with that. Like, when is that okay, and how do you handle that? Like, if you're in tight quarters with multiple family members, like, how do you kind of handle those interruptions? Samsung SMA536E, could you identify yourself before we admit you, please?
Lisa, let me take a shot at your question. And you started your question with if I'm in a casual meeting. So my wife and I will have Zoom happy hours with friends of ours from around the country. And actually, Zoom has been wonderful for reconnecting with people that are not local. And that said, when a dog barks, when a kid runs in, that's perfectly fine because you're among friends. In a business meeting where you are in an interview, you can either find an isolated area where you will be alone and uninterrupted, or in today's world, because so many of us work from home and are integrating work and life, you simply tell the person that I have a 10-year-old running around, or I have a child running around, or I am the proud owner of a dog that if they hear a delivery person, they will bark. And you let them know very politely that that could happen. People in this day and age, because we have such an integrated work-life role today, are much more forgiving. I can tell you last night I was doing an interview with a candidate. His dog started to bark. He explained the situation. The dog likes any squirrel that runs by the window. And I have to tell you, all went well. He just simply explained it. He was interviewing from home, and I recognized that he was dealing with his life. I think you just need to explain it.
Thank you. That's helpful. AJ, do we have some poll answers?
Yes, actually, 5 people answered it. So do you want me to close the poll, Lisa?
Yeah, we can end it. Do you want me to end it? And so I can
I can do that as well.
Okay, and then I need to download. Like, we're still getting the gist of this, but
okay, yeah, please do it,
if
Lisa.
you can give us some of the answers. This is kind of a fun question.
Okay, so I will go for the browser and I'll start reading the answers. So one participant typed that I would love to meet Emily Beatty. She's more than a cyclist. She inspires and to have more confidence as a girl and woman in a sport for men. Charity Bilal typed Winnie Mandela or Michelle Obama. Carlos typed, I would like to meet any entrepreneur person who have started a successful business like Jeff Bezos. Zabi Jalili typed, I would choose to meet Barack Obama to find out what challenges he faced until he got to the presidency position in USA. Zahidullah typed, to have a good related network with him, to learn from each other and share our experiences together, or knowledge sharing. One other participant typed Boris Johnson to learn from him.
Very fun.
Those are awesome. Thank you, everybody.
I'm actually going to go back to the previous slide for just a moment. I mentioned that that is not me in the picture, but I wanted to talk about the picture to the right of the slide. While his camera angle is completely wrong, he is wearing what is called a ZERT, a Zoom shirt or blouse, because he is being viewed only from here up. Same thing with me. He has chosen to wear shorts. I would never do that, by the way. I am wearing slacks. However, what also has to happen here, if he's in a meeting, or if you're in a meeting and you are dressed very casually from the waist down, but more formally from the waist up, if you have to get up to do something, you need to turn your camera off. I know that sounds strange, but you want people to really believe you are professionally dressed if you are in a professional meeting. In the Twin Cities, and I think most of you are here. We have one person from Germany, but I think the rest of you are in the Twin Cities. Is that correct, Lisa and AJ?
Yeah, we've got we have one person who is in Germany from Ukraine, that's Stas, and then someone in St. Louis, Missouri, and someone in Buffalo, New York.
Gotcha.
Who are attending just kind of off and on as they can.
Gotcha.
But most, 99% are here in Minnesota.
In Minnesota, 70% of how you are likely to find your next job is based on networking. It isn't about career services, the school placement office. It isn't about the ads you'll see on Indeed or LinkedIn. It isn't about all those other items. It is actually about networking, because people that know you and understand your gifts and your strengths will want to help you succeed. And oddly, in the Twin Cities, and Lisa and I can speak to this, while we have changed the work we do, I've been in the same firm for a long time, but Lisa, I met you in a different career area. We haven't moved from the Twin Cities. Now, while I have owned this company for a long time, I did have 3 corporate employers and I owned a previous company as well, but I never left the Twin Cities. So some of the people that I work with and network with are people that I've known for a long time. The longer you're in the Twin Cities, the better your network is. So as each of you meet people who are native of the Twin Cities area, the networking begins to explode in a good way. If you are in St. Louis or Buffalo, it's actually closer to 50%, but that's still half of how 50% likelihood of how you're going to find a job. It's larger here because most people simply don't leave the Twin Cities. It's that simple.
So, David, I just want to add for everybody, it's not just for jobs, right? So every opportunity that comes, you want people to talk about you when you are not in the room, right? So I get an opportunity to serve on a board, or there's so many opportunities, somebody has to be able to talk about you when you are not in the room. But how can they talk about you if they don't know you? Right. So somebody nominated me for an award at the White House. I don't know, but it was somebody who knows me, probably through my networks or something, So one of the key words here, I think, is intentionality, right? Intentionality. So intentionality, you do this with intention and not willy-nilly, right? Oh, you are the one who is seeking networks. Don't wait for people to come to you. You have to take the initiative to seek out people and network with them.
Thank you. Raina, you have your hand up.
Yes, hi. I have a comment about the 70%. It's hard as an immigrant or a new resident in this place, talking about Minnesota, because yeah, it's networking, but it's so hard to grow up your networking. You have to know somebody around to get new friends or new networking, because it's something cultural. You don't go in some place and say, "Hey, I'm Reina. Can we be friends?" or something like that. Here in Minnesota, it's kind of hard, that part, to work to make a new networking or network in the easy way. Just a comment.
It is, sorry about that. It is indeed difficult to break into the Twin Cities, to any new community. When AJ was reading the answers from the first poll, Zoom poll, someone mentioned that they were in a group, and was it the Afghan group?
Mm-hmm.
And I'm going to assume that is the country of origin. And so people from that country. Is that a correct statement?
Yeah, there's a number of Afghan immigrant support community-based organizations here in Minnesota. And Amina, who's with us again tonight, is one of the founders of the Afghan Cultural Society. There's a couple others. So, and about half of our participants are from our recent evacuees from Afghanistan. So that's probably where there's some community building happening there. We also have people from South Sudan and Ethiopia and Panama and Mexico, who are all part of this cohort this time. So I think just, David, I'm excited about when we get to your part of your technique and your process for building a network from scratch. I think that that's going to be really helpful to people, because I'm seeing some of the comments. And yeah, when you come here with no social capital, it's really difficult. And culturally, my belief, and people can challenge this, but I feel that networking in the United States is a white male construct. And it's not something that's always comfortable for people. I was raised to be very humble and not, quote unquote, brag about myself. So showing up in a room full of strangers and talking about how you're going to add value to an organization can feel incredibly uncomfortable.
The reason I brought up, and Lisa, thank you. The reason I brought up the Afghan group is in response to, do I pronounce your name, Raina? Raina's question. People with a common background and people that have been here longer than a new immigrant will have started the very tough process of building their network, but they will also recognize the challenge you have as a new person and are more than likely to help you. So you need to start by finding people you have something in common with. And that Afghan group or groups may be the best way to begin, because those people that founded the group and have been here longer will have already started this process and recognize the value and importance of simply being of help.
Yep, David, that's a great point. And in fact, one of the new things we're going to do with this cohort is on our very final session on the 28th, we've been thinking through, like, what are some of the community-based organizations that we can invite to talk about their services so that you can continue to build network with communities. And I think on our first meeting, we talked about World Education Services and credentialing. And we're really excited to share with you all that at our last meeting, there is a representative from World Education Services who's going to come in and speak about their services and credentialing. And again, to David's point, it's just another way to grow your network and understand what's available to you.
So what I would add to this quickly here is also you start from somewhere, right? So right now, Raina, there's 17 of you. Probably that should be one of your key networking, right? Reaching out to people, because then they also know people who also know people. So you start from this even cohort, right? That is friendly to you, you know, and start from there.
Thank you so much.
Yep. Everybody should be connecting. If you don't have a LinkedIn profile, we're talking about that next week. If you do, you should take a screenshot of everybody on this call tonight and start sending out LinkedIn connection requests. And I know Rosie and David will accept them. Bakeda had sent me a request. I accepted it. So that is a really good point, Rosie. You've got 23 people who are part of this program who will connect with you.
Yep. I know that someone has already sent me a LinkedIn request. I'm looking at my phone to check. Raina, thank you for doing so. I will accept later because I won't accept right now, but I saw it flash across my screen. So thank you for doing so. And I'm going to talk about that in just a moment, actually, about how to reach out to someone on LinkedIn. And Richard Dodson next week is amazing in terms of helping people with a profile. Before we get there, I just want to talk a little bit about the voice. For those of you that are not camera positive, all I've got is your voice. Camera positive means your camera is on. Regardless if you are on a phone call with someone, we've got these devices. If you are talking with someone, you are judged by your voice. If you are only on the phone with someone or your camera is off, it's at least 50% of how you're judged is based on how you sound. So you want to speak slowly, you want to enunciate, you want to make sure that people are understanding you. If you do phone interviews or phone conversations with any length that they're long, you actually want to invest in a good hands-free system. If you are speaking while you are holding your phone, you aren't going to be as expressive. So you want to be able to have your hands free and sound more natural. Hopefully you can all hear me clearly tonight. I have a reasonably inexpensive external microphone that I don't need to worry about. I don't need to hold on to. And it isn't clipped to me in any way, shape, or form. Emails and in-mails. And in-mails are those LinkedIn invitations. We all get a lot of emails and in-mails and text messages and other social media messages. We get way too many every day. And I want to help you make sure that yours is answered. If you are emailing me, I want you to make sure that you are sending it to my name. Now, my email address is on this slide. It's david@ablinmeiji.com. So based on that email address, each of you should know that my name is David. That may sound really simple, but I get emails to Dave. I get emails to to whom it may concern, which is a really old way of writing to someone without knowing who they are. And oddly, I get emails addressed to a previous coworker of mine named Mary. And the odd part of that is they do come to my email address, david@abelandmeiji.com. Mary's address does not exist anymore and hasn't for 15 years. But someone occasionally finds her name and writes her at david@abelandmeiji.com. Please, if you want to get someone's attention, make sure that you are using their name. Continuing on all email addresses, there is a subject line, or on all emails that you send out. It will be important for you to explain in the subject line why you want to talk to someone. Don't assume that a person is going to open your email. If all they read is the subject line, they should know about you or know what you want. So, Raina, if you were emailing me, I'll pick on you because you were kind enough to reach out to me already. You would put, met you at Prosperity Ready. And want to connect on LinkedIn. That would be the subject line. That tells me exactly how we know each other and what your goal is. And then you can write the email. But now I've got a reason to open it. If it simply said from you, Raina, and I don't know who you are, if it simply said introduction or LinkedIn, I would have no idea. So give the person an idea. For LinkedIn invitations, and in Raina, I have not opened yours yet, it would be best if you actually send a note with it if possible. That does actually increase the likelihood that people will accept your invitation. If they just get an email from you with an invitation without any contacts, without any information, if they don't quickly know who you are, they won't be as likely to accept. Same thing you did I suggested you do in the subject line in an in-mail message. When you invite someone, you say, met you tonight at the presentation, would love to connect. That's the best way to get accepted. Questions, comments? We continue. Lisa, this is on you. Do you want to take a break or do you want to just keep wandering through? We're already at 7.
We've got, we're at 7. So I think it's probably a good, should we just take a 5-minute break? What do you guys think? Yeah, let's do a quick 5-minute break and then we'll keep moving because I think we still have quite a bit left.
We do, and I want to make sure we're timely. And sadly, I have another commitment at 8.
All right, then we need to keep moving. So let's do 5 minutes and we'll be right back.
Perfect. Thank you.
Please enter your log to first new voice message from telephone number.
Good afternoon, David. Ray Taylor calling.
Marking message as new. Second new voice.
Hi, my name is Sierra Evans, and I just wanted to reach out in regards to the Minnesota Twins. Please give me a call back at your earliest convenience.
Erasing message.
Mr. David, your mic is on.
Thank you. So, Lisa, I'm reading the chat. And I haven't been reading it while I've been speaking or listening to Rosie or you or anybody. But you offer something that is so wonderful and so on point. You tell people to use Prosperity Ready's name and your name when reaching out to network. And that is so valuable in a phone conversation, in an in-mail message, in an email message, in that subject line that we talked about. That is both a wonderful and gracious offer, but a critically important one as well.
Yeah, well, David, you know from my past that networking is what kept me going when my family and I relocated here to Minnesota, and I found myself jobless and the sole income earner in my family with a young son. So yeah, networking is really important, and it's a skill. It's something that didn't come easy to me, but yeah, so I'm seeing lots of so if you guys look at Rosemond, um Sarpong Owens is how you'll find Rosie's LinkedIn profile, right? Rosemond, she's, yeah, her formal name is Rosemond, and she goes by a few different names. So, but I think it's a really good point, you guys. Like, maybe David and Rosemond, you can address, like, if you're trying to find someone on LinkedIn and you're not finding them, what do you do? There are a lot of Lisa Perez's out there. And I'm happy to send everybody my LinkedIn profile, and we'll talk more about this next week as well, like how you can actually modify the long name of your LinkedIn, like how it appears in the URL so that it's your name. But yeah, that one can be tricky.
Yeah. And I think that, so you have to be diligent I look for people all the time. This is what I've learned. Look for what is unique about their names, right? Like you hear somebody called Rachel, you think it's Rachel, it maybe is ELLE. So look for the uniqueness of people's names. And if somebody has a middle name, it's going to be critical, because that is how you can tell them apart, right? From the bunch of people with the same names. So these are two key things. And if you also know what they do, that helps. So if you pull up the name, you can see. So there's a woman who makes shea butter in Africa. We are trying to connect with her. She's in the US, and her name is very common, right? So you pull up and you got maybe 1,000 of like Lisa Perez, right? So I'm looking for the Lisa Perez who's, I can see from her like, you know, how people talk about themselves, that she does something with shea butter, right? So push yourself to know a bit more about people if it's possible, beyond just their names, and pay particular attention to their names, how they spell that particular name. And if they have a middle name, it's going to be critical for you to help to find them.
Great points, Rosie. Lisa, shall we continue?
Yeah, let's keep going. I'll keep trying to engage in the chat, but we have a lot of really good content left.
Yes, we do. And
I'm just saying, like, some of the stuff I've done, or like in my past job searches, I don't remember how to do anymore. So we just need to ask our experts as they come on.
This is there we go. Okay. Networking is a new concept and a bit of a scary term. And it's also, as we talked about, isn't something that comes natural. I want you to think, instead of networking, about the importance of being visible. We want to see your name. We want to hear your name. And while I'm not going to read these things to you because you will have the slides, some of the best things you can do is respond to a log if there's an opportunity to comment. If you are linked into someone and someone posts, if you are LinkedIn connected to someone, to Lisa or Rosie or me, and someone puts up a post, like it, comment on it, get your name out there so people want to click on your response and see who you are. Somewhere in the chat, there was a comment about the importance of volunteering. And in volunteering, you get together with people that have a common interest. That could be stocking shelves at a food shelf. That could be who knows what. But find a group to volunteer with, and those people want to get to know you. And we've already talked about participating in professional groups. Show up at professional association meetings. Find someone else who looks as uncomfortable as you are and introduce yourself. You can really almost use the fact that you are uncomfortable as part of your introduction. I don't know anybody here. I'm here to meet people. My name is David. They will immediately respond because they're likely not knowing anybody either, or they've been in your situation before. And they will do what they can to introduce you to others. To build, I feel like I'm missing a slide. There we go. My apologies. To network, this is sort of a list of things you need to do. Again, I'm not going to read everything to you, but there are 3 different items on this list that are important. One is act like a host, not a guest. A guest has a job when they're at a party or a gathering. A guest is someone that people need to make comfortable. A host is responsible for making people comfortable. So when you go to a professional meeting or you're volunteering with a group of people, you want to take the opportunity to be the host and introduce yourself to others and make sure people are talking. That will make you connected to the other people. Follow up. And that has to be a top priority. Lisa talked about reaching out on LinkedIn and asking people to connect. It is my hope that all of you take Raina's lead. She already did it, and I'm so thrilled by that. And I promise you I will accept later. But get out there, and part of the follow-up is invite people to LinkedIn. If you don't have your LinkedIn profile done yet, you want to wait until Richard Dodson next week. He's really good. Send an email. You know what to do in the subject line, but do something to follow up so that all of us on the screen remember who you are. And then finally do it. Just start right now, not while we're talking, but as soon as this presentation is over. Start it tonight. Spend 5-10 minutes after the presentation, even though you all put in long days. Spend a few minutes and start reaching out. Just do it right away. The next slide is categories of people. And the reason I put these categories up is it is very difficult if I simply said to you, put together a list of everybody you know. That is really too difficult. Where do you begin? But if I said, I want you to spend a minute or two thinking about all of your friends and neighbors, and then I want you to spend a minute or two thinking about every client or customer, or if you were in college now or recently, every professor. Or if you think about some of the professional people you might work with, a lawyer, your doctor, someone who is your insurance agent, your city council person, or when I had kids in school, my kids are older now, but when I had kids at school, I knew the school council members. The school board. Those people are incredibly well connected, but we oftentimes forget to reach out to those people to network. And interestingly, if everybody on this screen is looking to find a new position, each of you will hear about positions that don't fit you. Each of you will meet other people as part of your journey. And those other job seekers will actually represent really good networking connections for you. The idea from this list is each of you should spend a minute or two on each of these 20 categories, thinking about everybody you can think of and writing them down, and then actually grading them. So you're going to grade them on how friendly they are to you. Will they take your call immediately, or will they be standoffish, be a jerk? You also want to think about how helpful they're likely to be. Are they connected to people that can connect you to others? Or are they just likely to be good personal connections? All of them are important. Every person is created equally, and every person is important. But your goal is to really start reaching out to the people that have both A or B friendly scores and A or B helpful scores. Those will be your best network connections. Questions, comments?
David, I put it in the chat, but you guys, this is in your, like a Word version is in your binders, so you can like take pen and pencil to paper. David gave me a printout of this at a breakfast meeting that we had years ago, 2016, probably, David.
Something like that.
I remember where we were in Eden Prairie, Tavern 4 and 5. I had no idea what I was doing, you guys. I had no network. I was desperate for a job. And this worked. It worked. So I encourage you to look in your binders. If you can't find it in your binders, AJ will resend it to you. This is an exercise that David donated to Prosperity Ready from his expertise, and I can tell you that it works. So there were things like I had never considered thinking about, you know, people I go to church with. Can I network with them? My insurance agent, the person I bought a car from. It's a very good mind opener. So I encourage you all to go through this process. And yeah, for sure, start with people who are not going to judge you. So start with people you want to practice with, who are going to give you another chance and give you good feedback. And then, like David's saying, work your way towards people who might be a little more, you know, might have a little more risk, but by that time you're going to be practiced and polished, and you're going to have read Nathan Perez's networking book, and you're going to do an amazing job.
Nathan's book is definitely worth reading. Very well done. And Nathan, who is your speaker in a couple of weeks, is simply incredible. How many of you actually have a LinkedIn account? So I'm seeing a few hands.
Yes,
I'm
I
not
do
seeing
have.
every hand. Hopefully by the time you get to, oh, thank you for electronically putting your hands up. That's brilliant. Why didn't I think of that? Thank you for doing that. I can tell you that by the time you're done with Richard, your LinkedIn profiles will look greater than they already do. He's amazing. But each of you should have a LinkedIn account, and LinkedIn is truly for business. Now, people who study social anthropology do talk about the fact that we can all really maintain close connections with somewhere between 150 and 250 people. And close connections means I know their spouse or partner's name, I know their kid's name, I probably have a list of their birthdays somewhere. LinkedIn and Facebook allows us to stay connected with more people than that. And that is the beauty of those social media accounts. LinkedIn is for business. Facebook is for play. So is Instagram, so on and so forth. There's so many different social media opportunities. LinkedIn is the business one, and please make sure you really focus on business, that your picture relates to business, that your posts relate to business. That doesn't mean you can't share personal details, but if you are at a party, that is not the place to post pictures, LinkedIn, of the party. It is the place to post pictures of a business networking event, potentially. So please try and separate those. Twitter. If you are a person who is on Twitter, I don't even know where to begin on how they are judging accounts right now since the takeover by Elon Musk. Regardless, assume that if you tweet something, actually, if you should assume if you put something on LinkedIn or Twitter or Facebook, no matter how good your security settings are, you need to assume that everybody in the world can see what you post. And that goes into that you never get a second chance to make a first impression. If you tweet something that is, in anger, or you put up a Facebook picture of you doing something that might not be as professional as you would like, you really aren't just putting it out there for your best friend. You are putting it out there for everybody to see. And sadly, there are countless examples of that, from congressmen who have ended up in jail, which is just sort of horrible, to actually students who were supposed to be admitted to Harvard, who were in a secret Facebook group just a few years ago, that had to post something really sort of immoral to be part of this group, and Harvard kicked them out of college before they ever started. So please make sure you know everything you are putting out there and that you are proud of everything you are putting out there. If you want to know what your social media presence is, Google yourself. Put your name in Google. And Lisa, you talked about having a name that is maybe a little more common. So you might want to Google yourself by saying Lisa Perez, Prosperity Ready. And you will find out what the world finds out about you. Rosie, it's all you.
Yeah. So, David, thank you. So many nuggets, right, about building your social capital, building your networking, which a lot of nuggets and a lot of lifelong skills. And so for majority of us, this is a little different, So when you are born, like I was born in Ghana, different. So all my extended family people are my networks, right? So imagine being born in a place where everybody knows you. Everybody knows your family, and especially in where I come from in Africa, it's more about the family. It's not about you as the individual, right? So, this is so-and-so's child, and that will take you places, right? Then you come to a place where nobody knows their so-and-so or their child, where you feel like you have nobody besides your nuclear family. So you start to build your social networks. You start to build, if you do like religious activities, like David has shared, a myriad of ways. But what I want to add to this is to see your networks also as your social capital. So we call it social capital for a reason, right? So this is not money that you can take to the bank, but it's definitely something that you can benefit from. So you can bank your social capital and you can call on your social capital as needed. So right now, let me ask a question. If you need something, who do you turn to? Who do you turn to first? Who's the first person that comes to mind? If you have a need, if you have a child who wants a job, so what's the first thing? So use the chat, right? So you use your social capital in ways that you may not think of. And in the world of social capital, there is not too much or too little. The important thing is to have them. So you know that, and the thing about social capital is you grow it. It's like having money in the bank, right? So you start with like $25, you know? Anytime you deposit money in the bank, your bank account grows. So anytime you make a new connection, you know, you reach out to somebody on LinkedIn, they respond, you make a connection, you find time to talk, you find something in common, you keep adding to that, right? So you keep banking this capital, and you're going to need it. So I'm going to tell you a case study of why this ended up being one of the best things I ever did. And I got an award for it too, and I didn't even know. So so when the COVID vaccine came to be, I was working with a clinic that was willing to vaccinate people. I went to the clinic to get my vaccine in February of 2021. Then I was talking to the wife of the clinic owner, and she said, oh, so I said, oh, so how are things going? Thank you so much that we can bring all these people from underserved communities to get their vaccines, you know. She said, oh, we are so happy to be able to vaccinate people, but the clinic closes at 7, and I don't sleep till 3 a.m. because by state law, they need to put, Minnesota has a system called MEC. MEC has all our vaccinations. So the COVID vaccine, they were mandated and required to put that in the system, MEC system. So here they were vaccinating 1,000 to 1,200 people, like, you know, so they would do 1,000 on a Saturday, 1,200 on a Sunday, not even to talk about the other days of the week. So it made me think, this is crazy. So this woman doesn't sleep. Well, to make a long story short, I said, okay, I'm going to go to get some money to hire nurses, you know. Look at me bragging when I don't even know. So, well, have you heard of the saying called beautiful constraints? I didn't get money. Nobody will give me money to hire nurses, right? So, remember that question, who do you call upon when you need something? That reminded, oh, I know somebody who works as a nurse. Let me reach out to them and see if they have ideas. Well, to make a long story short, the nurse that I reached out to was from the College of St. Benedict. So she came, and then maybe for about 4 weeks, she would drive all the way from a town called St. Cloud, about 80 minutes or maybe 70 minutes from the Twin Cities. They would come and then help at the clinic. So a part of the beautiful constraint. So then the nursing director, she said, oh, I know that, so I belong to an association of directors of nursing schools. I will put that there. So here's just from this one person that I knew, right? Then of course, so we started getting more people to come and volunteer. And then I remembered that when I used to work at the hospital, one of the women who was my friend, she was a physician. And I was looking her up, and I realized that she was in charge of the Minnesota Association of Physicians, like family physicians. I reached out to her. She said, oh, why don't you write up something I'll put it on our platform. So the rest is history. So when we were done in December of 2021, we had sent the clinic about 120 volunteer doctors and nurses and like students, about 100 of them as well, right? If somebody had paid the manpower, so both Lisa and David are human resources experts, sending about 600 doctors to volunteer for 8 hours a day at a clinic, like, there was no way I would have that amount of money in my bank account, but I had it in my social capital account. And I was able to leverage it when I needed it. And needless to say, everybody is important. People who come across, so everybody is important. You never know who is going to become. So I met this guy who was an interpreter at Hennepin. And when I met him this time, he was a doctor now. So he's now a doctor, right, in the same organization. But I knew him as an interpreter. And when I was using his services, now he was a doctor. So the long story and short of it is 3 key things. Everybody who crosses your path is important. You may not know, right? Be intentional about building your networks. Remember, we were all strangers in this land before, Raina, and it's tough, right? But you'll be surprised. That one person that knows somebody else, right? It's not magic. You can't just get a magic wand. And, when I started my LinkedIn, I think I started maybe about 6 months. I knew about only 15 people. Today, I have more than 2,000 people, right? But I started very small. So just know that the important thing is to start, right? So that is one key thing. And also remember, a saying that I always use, you miss 100% of the shots you don't take. If you are into basketball, all right, if you're using a sports analogy. So this is important. And as David shared that slide again, 70% of jobs in Minnesota are from networking. One day, I know you'll be telling others how you built your social network. And I think that will be a story for future immigrants also. So I'm from Ghana. I like to go to all the Ghana communities and eat jollof rice. But please, reach outside of your immediate communities. There's discomfort, but do that and intentionally make your networks diverse and inclusive. Because you're going to need all those people when that time comes. So start slow, start small. That is why we call it social capital, right? So like just you're building your financial capital, also build your social capital because it will come in handy for you. Thank you.
All right. And David, I think if we advance the slide, I think Rosie has touched on all of this. Is there anything else you want to add on any of these points? I think you've touched on them, but I think one thing that really resonates with what I've learned from you is probably that last one of being a connector matters.
And that is so true, even yourself, right? You think about it. So, so right now, there's 19 of us, right? So right now, so if you talk to, so Amina, you will talk to Atifa, and Atifa will say, oh, back home, I knew this person who knows this person, so let me connect you. Like I do that all the time. And now you even do it unconsciously, and make it your business to connect people also. So now, as you learn from Amina, Atifa, Reina, Ahmad, learn about yourselves, maybe Amina will have, like I'm looking for somebody who sews, for instance. And when I will say, when I talked to Atifa knew somebody, you'll be surprised the power of these connections, And I always tell people, and if you are of the Christian faith, I always tell people, I say, God will not come and put Lisa on a silver platter. If for you, he'll put it in a person. The more you get to know people, you get to know what is out there. But most importantly, they get to know who you are and what your capabilities are, so that when the opportunity comes, they are going to talk about you. You don't need to be in the room. You don't need to be there physically, but the knowledge that people have about you that is what is going to do the magic for you. So I know a woman called Reina who is ABC and will fit this job. And Reina didn't even know that there was a conversation about a job, right? So make sure that you know enough people who will talk about you in the room when you are not there, because it will come in handy.
Well, thank you so much. It's 7:38. I'm glad we have enough time for Q&A, because I'm thinking there might be some questions for Rosie and David. And then AJ has a little bit of housekeeping that we want to touch on if we have time. Otherwise, we'll just email you all of the housekeeping. But what questions do you guys have? Like, what a great opportunity to ask experts about these topics. You can put them in the chat or just raise your hand or just shout them out. Marco.
Yeah, so I have a question, and it's really in regards of expanding the network. So how do we work to reach out of our network into other branches? So like, for example, for me, like I would like to find a job that's outside of what all my network currently is. So how do we, for that, of course, I need to find people that work in that branch, right? So how do I do that, right? Like I literally have no idea where to start.
So Marco, what is your background?
I'm a project engineer at Polaris. I'm a mechanical engineer, and it's pretty much what I've been doing for the past 12 years.
Okay.
Yeah.
So let's start something. So if you follow me on LinkedIn, tomorrow I will connect you with maybe 3 different kinds of engineers, right? So I can connect you to an aviation engineer. I can connect you to about 3 kinds of engineers, right? And then you connect with them, get to know, because there's a part of it too that has to do with the work that you do, right? So right now, as a mechanical engineer, I can attest that there is a lot of STEM-related opportunities in the K-12 educational system that people are looking for people who can just do STEM volunteering, right? So then if I connect you with a couple of educators, right? So that is how, right? So first off is just to connect you with 2-3 people who are engineers, probably who have different engineering backgrounds, right? So let's test this and see, because let's see what you can learn from that. And hopefully from these 2 or 3 people, you can glean some things that can actually help you, right? So some of it is how willing you are to, because you know that STEM education, especially under underrepresented communities, there's gross inequities. And at times, people are looking for volunteers to come and teach these kids, or to even shadow and tell the kids about what we do or something, right? So opportunities come in a myriad of ways, and at times they are dressed in overalls, right? So at times you may have, but yeah. So let's do that, and then maybe you can start and then see, and then maybe come and tell us how it worked for you and what you learned, right? And then hopefully you can share that with your colleagues as well.
Right. Yeah, that sounds like a great idea. Yeah, thank you.
Yeah,
Marco, you have been at Polaris for 12 years.
Yeah.
And it's interesting. I don't think about you, not that networking with your coworkers isn't a good idea, because you should know your coworkers. But I'm wondering if you could put together a list of all the people you know from Polaris that have left and gone to other organizations.
I probably can't do that, yeah.
And I want you to just spend a couple minutes just thinking about everybody you used to work with that is no longer there, and look each of them up. And I am going to bet you that you will find people in very, very different organizations and different roles that will immediately help you expand.
Yeah, never thought of that. Yeah, that's a really good idea.
So between Rosie and what I just said, you're golden.
Yeah, no, thank you. I appreciate that.
Sure.
What else, you guys?
Thank you so much, you guys, David and Rosman. It was very informative. I really, really, really enjoyed the speeches. So thank you. But I do have a question. My name is Charity. I am within the healthcare field. So HIM, kind of dealing with HIPAA and different regulations like that. But I run into the trouble of having, sometimes in healthcare, especially in administration work, there isn't much growing because some of the leaders have been there for so many years. And of course, they're not going to want to leave because the positions are kind of set. So how do I kind of work around that and network and kind of get a step in, if that makes sense?
Charity, are you in any professional associations at all based on what you do?
I am not.
Do you know other people that are in similar jobs to yours, either in your current organization or others?
No, not really. Like, not that I'm close to, let's say supervisors and different people like that, then yeah, but other than that, not.
Okay. I'm thinking that you need to, so for these supervisors, for these other people that you work with, I'm thinking you need to, believe it or not, go onto their LinkedIn profiles.
Yeah.
And I want you to find out where they are members and see where people that are in jobs that you would like are actually spending their time outside of work. And people will list professional associations, interests, activities, see who they follow, and use that as a path to build your network.
Thank you. That's great advice. Never thought of that.
And Charity, Lisa, go ahead.
No, go ahead, Rosie.
So Charity, what I was going to add was like right in Minnesota, so there's the Healthcare Leadership Trust. The Healthcare Leadership Trust is probably one of the organizations that you should join. And maybe Lisa and I can have a conversation. So everybody who is in healthcare is in there, right? And they do a great job when they get new members. They do like an onboarding. They do like a highlight. So they send it to all the different leaders of the different healthcare organizations, you know. So that's a great place to start. But the point I'm trying to make is that in addition to what David said, also Googling some of these professional associations. So I don't know, like, what is your specialty in healthcare, but like, so I know that there's the alumni organization. So I went to the School of Public Health. So I'm a member of the alumni of the School of Public Health. I'm a member of the alumni of Maternal Child Health. I'm a member of, you know, so you can start there too. And then of course, there's a lot of sororities that you can join, even if you haven't been. So I'm a member of the Links Incorporated. The Links is the largest Black women's organization. So you know, there are other things that you can do, but maybe what you can do is also be specific, right? Because you can't do it all. So maybe you make a list of these and say, okay, based on my background, what is the one or two that is going to give me the greatest impact? Right. So yeah. So but you should start with that, because you talked about leadership and healthcare. I think the trust will be your best bet.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Yeah, we have a couple of people. I know we have 2, maybe 3 who are medical professionals degreed from their home countries and some degreed in this country. So please reach out to Rosie if you want to network in terms of like medical related stuff. Also, there's a really good program that Prosperity Ready is part of for internationally trained medical professionals that we're happy to connect you with to other larger nonprofits who are helping. If we have time for one more question, and then AJ is going to take us through some, just kind of wrap up housekeeping things that we need to remind people about. All right, AJ, I don't hear anyone. So, and as always, when you fill out your learning assessment, you can ask us questions as well, and AJ will follow up. But AJ, what do we have for reminders for tonight as we wrap up?
Okay, thank you, Lisa. So yeah, I would like to thank everyone who did send us their waiver forms. We have received waiver forms from 9 people. The people who did not send their waiver form, please sign and send the waiver form to us. Yeah. So if you could do it as soon as possible, that would be great. The other thing is, if anyone has not received their boxes with the materials inside it, please let me know in the chat. And by now, everyone must have received theirs. So if you have not received it, please let me know in the chat and I would send it. Yeah.
Except for Stas. Stas, you're going to get yours when you arrive in Minnesota. We're not going to send your box to Germany.
Yeah. Okay, and also we have some postworks. So the postworks would be probably documenting your network based on the building, your network exercise described earlier. And you probably have all the materials in your boxes, which you've received. And after that, also be prepared to share the outcome of the exercise during our session next week. And yeah, so beside the exercise, there's one other thing, which is the resumes. So please keep working on your resumes and make sure that the first draft is ready by March 10. And the final resume should be ready by March 20, because in March 21, the employer partners are coming. And it's good if it's already, the resumes are ready. So next week we have LinkedIn with Richard Dotson. And if you don't have a LinkedIn account right now, please sign up for a free LinkedIn account. And yeah. And the other thing would be, which is optional, look through the Richard Dotson books, which is Power Your Career, The Art of Tactful Self-Promotion. And yeah, so next week we have LinkedIn. I also wanted to share something with you that Lisa helped me to build my LinkedIn. I also got a professional headshot. I put my resume, job descriptions accordingly, properly there. And after 4 months, I got a interview offer for an administrative assistant position, and it was the time which I realized that LinkedIn really works. So I just wanted to share that with you. And yeah, Lisa, I'm almost done. And if you could share the screen, Lisa, they can also screen the barcode. But if you couldn't, it's still okay. Tomorrow I'm going to send the learning assessment. And the other thing which I would like to tell you all is that please be active with your learning assessments. It doesn't take a lot of time. And it's also very short and concise. It helps us to understand how our sessions are going. So please do the learning assessments. And tomorrow I'm going to send you the learning assessment and all these other stuff which I mentioned in a post-program email. So yeah, Lisa, I think I'm done if anything's left.
Oh, that was very thorough. Thank you so much. I'm just so glad you're on the team with me, and we're partners in this journey together. David and Rosie, thank you so much. I think we're going to have a lot of good connections happening as a result of tonight, which is the whole point. So thank you, everybody. We are wrapping up a few minutes, and oh yay, I'm seeing some LinkedIn requests coming in for me. So Aludad, thank you. Yay. Keep those coming, you guys. I'll head upstairs and start accepting those. So, and if you don't have a LinkedIn profile, don't worry. Like AJ said, sign up for a free account and we'll figure it out. We're only 4 weeks in. We've got a few more weeks to go. So this is all about learning and just connecting with each other.
Well, as David said that he has another commitment at almost in 8 minutes. So I would like to quickly take a screenshot if the people who could come in the camera could please come in the camera. I'll quickly take a screenshot for our LinkedIn post, and I think we're done with the program for tonight.
Yeah.
Yes.
Thank you, AJ. Yes. And again, like the more you guys are on LinkedIn, you know, Rosie said she has over 2,000 people on her LinkedIn account. David, how many do you have?
Actually, I have no idea. I'm
He
sorry to say that.
He's thousands, and
well,
I
only connect to people that I have met, so I will be connecting with each of you. If I don't know you or people don't give me context, I don't connect with them. So as each of you have reached out, hopefully you sent me a note, but I obviously have your names from tonight also. I will be accepting each and every one of you. So thank you.
So the more recognizable you are on LinkedIn and in networking, the more recruiters can find you. So thank you, people, for jumping in on your cameras. AJ, we probably have who we're going to have. So if you want to, everyone smile big, and we will do a post in the next couple of days.
Well, that's great. I actually managed to take 5 to 6 screenshots. So yeah, we're good.
All right. Thanks, everyone. Have a good night.
Thank you very much, everyone.
Good night. Bye.
Good night.
Thank you.
Have a
Thank
good night.
you.